champion, architect, ambassador, mentor, role model, icon, legend, the king. There's a lot of names that describe Arnold Palmer. His accomplishments, however, probably describe it most emphatically. 5th all-time on tour in wins. A 4-time Masters champion in 1958, 1960, 1962, and 1964. The U.S. Open champion in 1960. Winner of the Open Championship in 1961 and 1962. In 1974, he went into the World Golf Hall of Fame. Overall, he has more than 90 professional victories. Leading money winner 4 times. PGA Player of the Year 2 times. Varden Trophy winner 4 times. The Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year in 1960. The Bob Jones Award recipient in 1971. Old Tom Morris Award in 1983. The PGA Tour Lifetime Achievement Award in 1988. The Payne Stewart Award in 2000. The Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2004. The Congressional Gold Medal in 2009. Arnold Palmer played on 6 Ryder Cup teams, last playing captain, in fact, for the United States, and was captain again in 1975. Mr. Palmer, it's nice to have your company, sir.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Pretty good. I'm starting to get back to normal. I feel fine. Thank you.
The shoulder, you dislocated it in December, correct?
Yes.
What happened?
I fell. I was on my way to speak at the Father-Son and slipped on a carpet and did a 360 and landed on my shoulder.
Oh.
And it's been a long, hard battle to try to get it better.
Yeah, the healing has to take some time. Did you know right away the severity of the injury? Could you tell when you went down?
Well, I knew it wasn't good when I hit the floor, and it scared me. I gotta say that, and I've been working hard to get it back. I feel like I'm about ready to go, but it'll be a couple days yet.
Is it a foregone conclusion that the thing you miss the most is the ability to swing a golf club right now?
Well, you know, I always fiddle with clubs, and I hit the swing all the time, and I haven't been able to do that since the accident.
When will they let you start to putt, or at least chip a little bit?
Well, I hit some shots, various shots on the range, wedges and that sort of thing. But that's about as far as I've gone. And my therapist says another day or 2 will not hurt, just hold off.
I have to tell you, Mr. Palmer, that in January of this year, my oldest son, he blew his ACL out playing soccer, and he was operated on at the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital. And inasmuch as, you know, having a child go through any type of surgery is a disconcerting experience, the experience at the hospital that bears your name was as pleasant as it possibly could be. And I wonder, when you list all those when you hear all those accomplishments that you have to your credit in your life, where does that hospital place for you personally?
Well, it's right at the top of the list. It's the hospital, what they do for the kids and ladies is wonderful. The doctors, the aides, the workers that are given their time to take care of the hospital, it's pretty fantastic.
I have to say, respectfully, at 85 years young, even with the injury and the healing, you look good, you look vibrant, you still have that spark in your eye. Are you enjoying your work still? Does it still motivate you every day?
Oh yes, I still work every day, and I still get a kick out of it. And sometimes I get tired and want to go to sleep, and do. But that's the difference. And I miss playing golf. That's something that I never done in my life, not played.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting back to hitting the ball.
To this point of your work, during the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard, you discussed with the assembled media that you're building a golf course in Scotland, and it's your first one in Scotland. Could you talk to us about that project?
Well, it's one that I'm looking forward to. It is a new project for me. It's just north of St. Andrews, and it's one that we're going to really put a lot of time into and hopefully make it a really great golf course.
One of the stories that I just heard recently was, and I guess it was prompted by, Rory had a club throw at Doral. And someone told a story about when you were a kid, you were in a junior tournament, I believe, right? And you threw a club. Could you tell us that story and what happened?
Well, I was playing in a junior tournament. I was 16, and I was playing pretty good. And I was playing the mayor of Pittsburgh's son, Waddell, and I missed a short putt on the 17th hole, and I turned and let the putter fly, and over a row of trees, and my father was there, and as it turned out, I holed the putt on the last hole to win the match, and I got in the car to go home with my family, and it was dead silent. There was not a sound, and I expected something at least nice going or something. The next thing I heard was the chewing out, and if you ever do that again, you'll never play golf as long as you live in my house. And that was my father talking, and he was very serious.
Did you ever throw a club again?
Well, maybe a little pitch, but not real bad. That taught me a lesson.
When you think about your dad and the lessons that he taught you over the years, could you boil it down to one philosophy or one piece of advice?
Well, I learned everything I know from my father, and I can't ever thank him enough for what he did for me in my youth.
I've heard you speak about your dad in saying that he concentrated on the fundamentals of the game from grip onward. Could you comment on that perspective from your dad?
Well, he was a fundamental man. He was very basic. He taught me the grip, the stance, the position, and all the things that I learned about the game of golf. He taught me. And I can't, as I said, I can't thank him enough, because it was something that I still use every day of my life. And I'm very grateful for what he did.
When he put your hands on the club, that grip, that famous grip, what did he say to you?
He said, "Now, don't you ever change that, boy." And I knew he meant it. And I haven't. I still hold the club much the way that he put my hands on the club.
That strength in fundamentals, that giving you the belief that you can do it the way that you see it. I think back to the story, 1954, U.S. Amateur. Wilson Golf sends Gene Sarazen out to scout you, and he came back and said he lunges at the ball, he plays a hook. I don't see it developing into much. We just recounted what you developed into. Was that part of the motivation, the competitive makeup of Arnold Palmer, to, at least initially, to prove to the world that you can do this?
Well, that's one of the other things that my father taught me in my learning stages of the game of golf. He gave me the basic fundamentals, and he taught me not to talk too much about what I could do, show people, and he drove that home with me. He said, and it's something that I remember very, very well. Show them, don't talk about it.
When you have quiet times to reflect, to sit in front of a fireplace perhaps and just relax, where does your mind go? What are the times that you look back on and reflect?
Well, of course, I usually remember the good times we had, the golfing days, the things that I did with my father and mother, and they are all things that are very pleasant, things that I love, whether it's skiing down the hill or ice skating or playing golf. They were all things that were very pleasant, and today I enjoy remembering them.
When you go back to Augusta National, one of the things I've been dying to ask you about is the Champions Dinner. Can you remember your first Champions Dinner?
Oh yes, and of course I remember most of the people that were there, and there wasn't a large crowd. It was very limited, and it was wonderful. Sarzan was there for sure, and Bob Jones was one of my favorites, and he was there, and it was nice to talk to him, to talk to these people, because it was my first dinner, and to hear them and listen to them tell stories about how some of the other golfers played, and the guys like Claude Harmon, and guys that were really known for what they did and how they played was fun.
Was there anyone over those years and since, was there anyone that you in particular wanted to sit next to at this Champions Dinner because you knew it would be entertaining?
Well, no, but I enjoyed Kerry Middlecoff. Byron Nelson was one of my very favorites of all time. I think that he might have been the best that I ever had the opportunity to know and to talk to, and he talked to me about things that he has done and he did, and those are things that I'll never forget.
That is impressive. What was Bob Jones like to be around?
Bob Jones was a great guy. He was one that talked and didn't mind talking. I remember he watched me make a putt on one of the holes during a match, and it was about an 8-footer, and when I finished, he came over to me and he said, "Arn," he says, "let me tell you something." He says, "if I ever have a putt for my life, I'm going to come and get you to putt it for me."
That just sent a chill through me.
Isn't it fun? Yeah, it's fun.
I want to, if I may, I want to ask you about some historic figures in the game and your recollection and reaction to them. Walter Hagen.
Walter Hagen was also a very close friend, and I corresponded with him. He was the first man that I talked to after I won the Open, and he called me on the phone and congratulated me, and what a thrill that was. And then I got to know him. I met with him a number of times, and he said, "Now, Arnie," there's a couple things he said that were very pointed. He said, "when I die," he says, "I want you to remember that I asked you to be a pallbearer for me." And, you know, things like that were, and he was sick at the time. And of course, he thrilled me to death with the things that he told me. And as a matter of fact, I was a pallbearer in the Walter Hagen funeral.
Wow. Dow Finsterwald.
One of my best friends ever. Dow and I have been close since we played, well, amateur golf and then professional golf, and we traveled together all over the world, and he was a very close personal friend that I'm very proud to say we've been friends all our lives.
Sam Snead.
Sam Snead is a guy that you never get real close to Sam, but he and I were buddies because we played on a lot of teams together, and he was a guy that he never forgot anything, and of course I remember that. And he was a good guy. He was a good guy. He didn't waste words too much. He said what he had on his mind and got on with it.
I've talked to you in the past about your relationship with Ben Hogan, and in my reflection on it, I would describe it as complicated. Is that fair?
Well, I suppose that's fair. Hogan and I wouldn't ever call the relationship really close, although we were partners, and we talked a lot, but we were never real close buddies. Hogan never called me by my name. It was always "Hey you" or "Fella" or something like that, which I objected to a little bit.
How about Gary Player?
Gary and I are very close. We were close all our lives. We played Big Three golf, and we did a lot of things together, a lot of shows, a lot of golf, and something that I think that will last forever.
Of course, I have to ask you about Jack Nicklaus.
Well, Jack is a good friend. He is a personal friend, and he's a guy that I can appreciate and understand very well and enjoy being with.
There were a couple players that golf lost in recent months that I wanted to ask you about. One that both that you're directly tethered to. The first, Cal Nagel, who passed away, of course, which takes us back to the 1960 Open Championship. And I wonder if you could speak to that man for a second.
Well, Cal was the guy that kept me from winning the Open at St. Andrews, and he played very well, and I knew him pretty well, and he was a really nice man. He's one of the nicest men that I have had an association with in the game of golf. And I enjoyed our relationship, the fact that we spent time together and competed against each other many, many times. And he was a guy that I will always remember.
Mr. Billy Casper, of course, passed away recently.
Well, Bill Casper was a good friend also, even though we didn't spend a lot of time together. We played competitively all of our active life. And Bill was a much better player than anybody gave him credit for being. He played the game very well and was a good guy. He was a good guy and a good friend to me.
When you look at the game today, and you've described it to me in the past that players today are very physical, it was the word that you used with me. If you could, through some stroke of magic, if you could have lived and competed in a different time than that which you did, would you take that option? Would you be competing at a different time?
Would I like to be competing at a different time? I'm not sure. I think I had the opportunity to play in the best time of my life. The golfers were good. The Hogans, the Sneeds, the Sarzens, the Nelson, Middlecoffs, they were great players, and it was a thrill for me to have played against all of them.
What is the next mountain to climb for Arnold Palmer?
Well, I'd like to see golf continue on the road that it's on. I hear people say golf is falling. I don't think it is. I think it's just pausing right now for a little get back to it again. And I think that we will see these young people that are coming along will make a great difference in the game of golf in the years to come.
Are you impressed with the young players today?
I am very impressed by some of them. Yes, they're very good.
If there was one thing in today's game, in the golf game today, you could change, what would that one thing be?
I suppose that I'd leave the game alone. I'd try to speed it up a little bit. I think that would be something that we could use very much in the game now to get these young people to play a little quicker. And for the rest of it, I think it's very good.
Years and years from now, Mr. Palmer, what do you want the legacy of Arnold Palmer to be?
Well, I suppose that just that I have made a contribution to the game to help make it a little better.
You have that, sir. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.